I'm Felina.
And I'm Summer.
And you are listening to Broken Broken.
Because we're both.
The podcast about living your best life by getting real.
Hey, broken people. This is Summer.
And this is Felina.
And today we have
Victoria Hyde. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you
for joining
it's a pleasure
us,
to be here.
gracing us with your presence. She brought mimosas.
Yes.
Was like,
she's my favorite guest.
Yeah. Yeah, so future guests, if you bring us things, then we like you more. We're very easily bought.
Yes,
so
yes,
you
we
can
are.
buy our affections. We like mimosas. And Summer had never had one.
I had never had one, so now I have.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now you've been introduced.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Victoria.
You're certainly welcome.
So, Victoria, tell us what you do for a living and where you live and just like the basics, how old you are.
I live in Oklahoma City. I'm 60 years old. I'll be 61 in March. I run my own business, which I've done for almost 35 years.
That's amazing to me.
It was out of necessity at first because I couldn't find a job.
And what do you do?
I got laid off. I do drafting and illustration and calligraphy, and basically, if you need something drawn, I can draw just about anything if I've got the right amount of information to go from.
Right.
Right now, I do some oil and gas work in the drafting part, and I do a lot of construction drawings for people to get permits for their whatever project they're working on.
Okay.
That's a big part of the business now.
Interesting. So, did you go to college for that specifically?
I went to, I think I completed a semester and a half. I was I was 19 and I wanted to be an architect, but that was a 7-year degree at that point in time, and I was like, I'm not doing another 7 years of school. I just can't. I'm just done. I just made it. I just graduated high school. I'm done.
Where did you graduate high school from?
Putnam City.
Okay.
Original. It was there was West back then, but they hadn't built North yet.
Gotcha.
But yeah. So I started college doing the architecture program, and 7 years sounded like a really long time. And I met my first husband, and he was very traditional and older. And you don't need an education. You don't need to worry about working. You don't need a career. I'll take care of you. Which wasn't really anything I was that interested in. That lifestyle didn't really appeal to me, being a housewife. But I was like, okay, whatever. And
At least
not
sounds
thrilled about 7 more years of school.
Right.
That's a long
sounds
time.
kind of nice
That's
when
pretty
somebody's
daunting.
like,
Yeah.
oh, you don't have to
You
work.
don't have to work.
But
I'll take care
I'll
of
take
you.
care of
be,
you.
yeah.
Which
Well,
I guess
very
it's-
sweet and
It
thoughtful when they
does.
say
It seems
Right.
It seemed wonderful. It was like, yeah, that would not be so bad.
Well, it seems like there would be like some level of control that they think they would have because of
yeah,
the fact that-
which
is that
there
what happened?
there wound up being that.
Okay.
Yeah. He, on the one hand, he was like, you don't have to work. I'll take care of you. And on the other hand, because of the age difference,
How much older?
he was
than
12
you?
years old.
Okay.
He was
Okay.
12 years old.
And what did he do?
He was a rock and roll radio DJ.
Okay.
Which was very glamorous and
Right.
very
Seems
exciting
exciting
and very
to you.
fun,
Yeah.
and it was quite it was quite the adventure for a long time.
So you were 19, is
I
that
was
right?
19. I was 19 when we got married.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you got together?
We met? Well, I was 18 when we met,
Wow.
and
So it was
I
very fast.
ended a 4-year relationship in the blink of an eye. I met him, and it was love at first sight, and I just knew
It's like
I
that
had to be with
addictive.
this person.
It's like
I just,
that
I was like, I
addictive
just,
kind
I
of
just
love.
have, yes, I just
Yeah.
have to be with this person. It's meant to be. It's
I'm such a sucker for the addictive kind of love.
You get that
So,
chemical
Well, and
release
for
and you
time-
just
yeah.
want more.
yeah.
and for
Alright.
10 years, it was the first 5 years were pretty good, and it started going downhill after that.
How in what way?
He had a drinking problem,
Oh, okay.
which I didn't. He was an alcoholic. I didn't realize that when I met him. I was 19. I thought the alcoholic was the old man stumbling around on the street corner
Right.
with a paper bag, and I didn't know there were functioning alcoholics. And he kept it together fairly well during his outside life.
Yeah.
And the longer the drinking went on, the more progressed it got. And it started with, I guess when we met, tequila was his favorite, which I like tequila, but it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
On a full-time basis, day in, day out, not good.
Yeah.
But it progressed to he was drinking practically a quart of tequila every day.
Wow.
A quart of tequila every day.
Every day.
Oh my God.
Every day. Sometimes more.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Was he a mean drunk?
He was. He became, at first he wasn't, but he became that, and I think it was just, a cumulative thing.
So
And he became abusive, and at first it was emotional and, psychological, but it degenerated into physical abuse as well. And that was when it was like, nope, not hanging around for this. I love you dearly. I would love to see you get healthy and make it to the other side of this, but it was like, nope.
you can't be involved in that.
No.
So how old were you when you decided to leave him?
I was 28.
I think I was 27 when I got
Yeah.
divorced. I'm just kind of.
And that's such a time, right around that age, you have a shift in consciousness, I think, and you realize that, you start seeing a little bit more of the big picture in the future and where you want to be, in 5, 10 years.
Now,
And
why do you think it was that you or do you think there's any particular reason that you fell into a relationship like that? Do you think anybody's susceptible to it? What did you learn from it?
I think probably anybody is susceptible to it, and I was very, I led a pretty sheltered life. My parents they met at church. My mother was a virgin until their wedding night. They were very traditional, and I was the oldest, so I was kind of the experiment. If it works with her, we'll do it with the others. If
Right.
it doesn't, we know.
Just call the oldest the starter kid because
Yeah,
you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, and it was, and they were great overall. They had their own little set of problems and quirks, and when I got out in the world and started meeting other people, I was like, I was really lucky. My parents were pretty normal. They were pretty centered. They were not crazy. They didn't have any major problems.
Wow, what's that like?
Yeah.
Oh, real? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, and that was back in the day where people got married and stayed together.
I wonder what my daughter's going to think of me, sitting here 30 years, what she would be saying about me. Well, my childhood was totally fucked up,
Oh, I'm sure that's not the case.
Oh, who knows?
I'm sure
just
mine
kind
But, it's, kids today, it's very different. But, yeah, falling into that relationship, I think, was a lot because I'd led such a sheltered life. I mean,
Okay.
I had no idea what a functioning alcoholic was. I had no
Yeah.
idea if, and it was just all, and he was very charming. And, what he did for a living was, we went to concerts every week for free.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I love this.
What a fun life.
The
Right, so
record
the
companies
lifestyle
sent
is-
him record albums
Mhm.
on a weekly basis. Come home from work and there's 3 or 4 or 5, 10 new albums and stuck in the door. It's like, this is amazing.
Mhm.
It was awesome. And and he was very, he had almost a split personality. He could be very sweet and very charming and just wonderful and just say things that you just be going, oh my God. He was very real and very authentic, and I think that's a lot of what I fell for,
Mm-hmm.
was that he was very genuine.
Was he?
He was.
Mm-hmm.
He was. But it degenerated after, and he had a real problem. He always, because I was so much younger, he always said, I want you to become a strong, independent woman who's able to be self-sustaining. Even though he had the other where I'll take care of you, you don't have to work, I'll be, but when I became that, he didn't know how to deal with me anymore.
So he
It
wanted you to
was-
have your own identity, and then when you got one, he didn't like it.
He didn't like it. He did not like it.
Well, you didn't need him anymore.
Right.
Even if you wanted
it was,
him,
well, yeah, the
you didn't
roles
need
were
him.
changing,
Yeah.
and he did not know how to adapt to that.
Man.
And it was interesting. It was a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Some of it was great. and some of it was so horrible. It's just the night I left him, I was like, I just let me get out of here alive. Just
Right.
please let me get out of here alive, because he was blackout drunk. He had no idea what he was doing, and I just had to get enough shit to get out of there and not have to come back anytime soon. And
That's terrifying.
it was awful.
I can feel the
I
anxiety.
mean, it was awful.
Mhm.
He hit me so hard that he knocked me to the ground. I was probably unconscious for I don't know how long. But when I came to, you know, in the cartoons where the stars are flying around,
Yeah.
it was like that was all. I was seeing stars. I was like, I can't even focus on anything, and I just went on autopilot and was like, I'm getting out of here. I'm just let me get my shit, and he was following me the whole time back. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why do you have, you don't, I didn't hit you. I didn't touch you. I would never do that.
Fucking gaslighting.
It was insane.
The gaslighting. That's
Yeah.
gaslighting
Yeah.
to a T.
It was insane.
Wow. Wow. And you know, when you say that he's a genuine person, that's why I'm like confused by that, because obviously he knew that he had and could be so manipulative and lie. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know
That's
that he
disingenuous.
drank to the point that a lot of the time he was not aware of what he was doing.
so this other personality.
Yes, it was completely, because we would have fights about it. I would try and tell him after one of his episodes, do you remember doing this? Do you remember doing this? And he was like, you're making that up. I would never do that.
No.
Well, how much
Memory.
of
I was
him?
like, oh my God.
But do you think
seriously?
he actually believed that he never had done it?
I think he did. I think he did, because he called me 2 or 3 years after we were divorced. And he told me, he said, you know how you used to try and tell me I did crazy stuff and I always said you were making it up? He said, some of my friends now have told me that I've done stuff I don't remember doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I just wanted to tell you that I'm really sorry. I never believed you,
Wow.
because I guess you were telling the truth. And
Yes,
that was,
you were telling the truth.
you know, and
That's
I was,
big, though.
Wow.
You finally
It
got
was
to that realization.
It was huge. I don't know whether he ever
Stop
got
drinking.
past
or,
that. I have no
yeah.
idea. He died in 2005. He was 60 years old, and I think either he finally, his body couldn't recover from everything
Right.
he'd done, or if he did ever get clean, it was too late.
Right.
Yeah. When
But, yeah.
was the last time you spoke to him?
Oh gosh, we divorced in '87. Probably. Well, he called me when he heard I was getting remarried.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
When did you? What year did
I
you
got
remarry?
remarried in '96.
Okay.
So it was probably 95 when he called me and just read me the riot act about my immortal soul.
What? Excuse me?
Yes.
Wow.
We're supposed to be together in the afterlife, and if you remarry.
Was he religious?
He was. He had grown
Okay.
up he was from South
Okay.
Carolina, and he was raised in a very, very traditional, fundamental Southern Baptist family.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Summer knows all about that.
Oh yeah.
She's a
I
pre-
did not until I moved there with
She's
him. And I
a-
was like, oh my God, these people are nuts.
Yeah, she's a preacher's kid.
Oh
So-
boy.
That also explains why he didn't see anything odd about being 12 years older than you and dating you at 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's typical
Yeah.
Yeah.
in that religion.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and when we were first dating, he was actually dating a couple of girls that were younger than me, and I
Yes.
was like, seriously? Bad things could happen legally if you get caught, under
Mhm.
18, that's not a good idea.
Stuff like this makes me think back to the much older men that dated me when I was very young, and how stupid I was, and how creepy they were.
Well, how predatory
Well, and
it
it
is.
doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't seem creepy when you're, the 18, 19,
You know, 'cause
20
you're
year
liking
old
the
and they're
attention.
28 or it doesn't.
Yeah, you like
But
the
yeah.
attention. It's like they find you. They're like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah,
where's
they
the
know.
one?
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
young and you think you're invincible, and so you don't see, the predatory nature
No,
or the
no.
the power imbalance.
Yeah.
You just
Mhm.
think, oh, they're
Yeah.
giving
And
me all
also,
this
I was-
attention and they love me.
I was super secretive too, so I never
Right.
told anybody when stuff like this was happening, so no one can tell me not to do it or advise me on it. Which is why
Yeah.
I try to make sure Sophia will, or make her talk to me forever. She's
Well,
like,
yeah, and you need to, because
Yeah.
she probably will get to that age where she doesn't
yeah.
feel like she can
Can.
tell you certain things.
Oh yeah, no.
And
I get mad at her for random things, but never whenever she's telling me something like sensitive. You know, like that's when there's never any judgment when it comes to that.
yeah.
But I'm hard on her otherwise. Sometimes.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I nag her, that poor little girl. Anyway, so when did you find out that he passed away?
I did not find out until he passed in 2005. It was probably 4 or 5 years. And a friend that I'm still friends with now, that was a mutual friend, kept saying, "Have you ever wondered what happened to him? Do you ever, it would probably be easy to find out if you still, remember his social security number, or, and unfortunately I do, because numbers stick with me. It's just like, yep, I remember that." And he said, "Get on this if you're ever curious." And I think he might have known,
But didn't want to
tell me.
Oh, probably.
And I finally tracked him down, and I had to do it 3 times because I put in his name and a social security number. It kept coming back, no results found. And it's some social security death index website. It's And then the 3rd time I did it, it bounced back with the same result, but it said, try deleting, if you've put in more than one identifier, try deleting it and cutting it down to just one, and you might have better results. And I did, and there it was. I was like, wow, okay. But he'd gone back to the Carolinas, and who knows? I mean, and that friend said, you could probably request a copy of his death certificate and find out for sure. And I'm like, I don't know if I really want to
do I
know.
want
the
details?
I don't know that I really want to know.
Yeah. So
But that was a shock. I mean, it was just,
yeah.
it was a shock, because this was someone at one point in time I thought I'd spend my entire life with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was gone, and it was, our relationship, I don't regret that I didn't stay with him. I think leaving him was one of the best things I ever did. But it was still, it hit me really hard. I was like, wow.
So you were 28 when you left him, and that was in
87.
87, and then you said you got remarried in
96.
Okay.
Almost 10 years later, and he's still, really? I was like,
How did he find out you were getting remarried?
I think through mutual friends, or because he stayed in contact with, there was a large group, and he maintained contact with some of them, and
Somebody had to run towel, huh?
I guess, I don't know.
I don't know. I still have people come to me and tell me stuff my husband is doing. I'm like, I don't want to know. Stop
Yeah.
telling me.
Yeah,
Well,
I
and
know.
people did that for a long time. You need to hear, and I'm like, I really don't care. I don't want it. I don't care. I don't know. It's not any of my business anymore.
Right.
I've moved on.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't tell me. Like, I hear you.
Yeah, especially when it's negative stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I can help him with any of that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
why
Well,
put
it's-
that on me?
Yeah.
It's like you spend such a big chunk of time trying to help this person be the best person that they can be, and you put so much energy into that, and you think that you can help them, but they don't want to help themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And you can't force
yeah.
them.
And that was what it boiled down to with him. He finally, after I left, went to one AA meeting.
One. Oh.
One. And
That
called
fixes
me
everything,
called
right?
me to that was the attitude. Called me to brag about it. I was like, well, that's a good start, but you have to keep going. Oh no, I don't. I'm fine. I'll be fine.
All 12 of those
Idiots.
steps like that, right?
Yeah. All 12 steps in one meeting. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's the putting that energy into someone like that, though. When you get past a relationship like that, you're like, oh, I'm not doing that again.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 So is that why you stayed single for a good 10 years?
Well, I
before?
wasn't single the whole time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I met my child's father, and it was really a rebound relationship. It lasted for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But he he wasn't abusive.
Oh,
He
that's
didn't
good.
drink, and he was an artist, and those were 3 really big selling points.
Mhm.
And it was like, And he was very nice and again very charming. That seems to be a weakness.
Yeah,
This
man.
is your type.
Yeah.
No, me too. Mine's like the charming or intense.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the intensity artist. That's
Yeah,
where that
yeah,
comes from.
and I think the first
Yeah.
husband was a combination of both. He was very intense and very charming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so I wasn't single the whole time. That was a 4-year. And after 4 years, it was like, I love the artistic side, but he was very dysfunctional as far as being a productive member of society. He kind of had the fantasy, it was like and I met a art critic
Mm-hmm.
that kind of explained it to me. And it made more sense, but it still was not. It was like, this is messed up. But he had the attitude where because he was creative and had talent, people should just take care of him, and he shouldn't have to work for a living. And
Oh.
he shouldn't have to be a functional member of society. And he should just be given a lot of leeway to, and he did have a lot supportive people in his life.
Mm-hmm. So there were
That-
people who helped,
that helped,
like,
that helped
further
facilitate
this.
that. His mother sent him $25 every week and a box of like food, and
Wow.
he was 11 years older than me.
So you like the older men.
So I did, yes. The current husband is closer to my age than any of them, and when I was younger, it was like guys my age were just stupid.
I don't think that's changed.
Yeah, I'm sure it
I
hasn't,
also don't think
sadly.
it's about age. I don't know that they grow out of it.
No, they don't.
I used to
because-
think they would, but apparently they
No.
don't.
Although I am now starting to date men in their 40s, and I like it a whole lot better.
Yeah.
It's nice. I'm liking men
Yeah,
in
and
their 40s.
you're
I'm 37.
Okay.
So
So closer to your age. than-
yeah, well, I keep getting asked out by young guys because I
Mhm.
look a little younger than I am, but I don't like dating them. They're too
They're
fucking flighty, and they don't know who they are, or they think they know who they are, and they're wrong.
They don't know what they want, what to do
Yeah,
with their
they're
life.
emotionally unavailable, but the guys seem to kind of grow that little aspect. At least I've kind of seen men in their 40s are a little bit better about it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Well, the jury's still out.
Well, I think by that point, they're more of who they're going to be. So you can tell
Yeah.
either they're going to be pretty solid or they're never going to get
They're
it
never
together.
gonna- yeah,
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so you can
Yeah.
kind of filter through
Well,
a little
and-
better.
I mean, tell me if you reached this point at, maybe what age this might have sounded familiar, but I feel like I've reached an age where, like, I'm done putting up with the shit. Like, I finally actually
Like, I'm
mean
over
it.
this.
And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like more aware, and I know who I am, and I'm perfectly happy being alone. And if you want to be with me, then this is what you get. And, like, I'm not going to change a damn thing
Yeah,
about myself.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a certain age or if you just go through enough. that
Yeah.
you're
But
like,
you're just done.
yeah,
Yeah.
because that was pretty after the baby daddy. It's like, I know what works for me, and I'm
Mhm.
not going to pretend like anything other
Mhm.
is gonna cut it, and it's still.
How old were you at that
relationships
time?
are challenging. I was 31 when Adam was born, so I was probably 33, 34.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just like, I've been through 3 serious relationships. None of them were what was right for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've filled certain aspects of my life. that
Well, that's
needed,
because-
but it was
No one person
can
Can fill
all
everything.
the same
Exactly.
needs.
And
Exactly.
it's not reasonable to expect that.
it's
No.
ridiculous.
This is
But
why
more
it's
and
just
more, that's
so
what we're being
unrealistic.
conditioned to believe.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the fairy tale.
Right.
You're gonna meet this perfect Prince Charming man, and the two of you will be everything each other needs, and
Which
you'll
is so
live happily ever
dysfunctional.
after. And it's like, no. I mean, in theory, I guess maybe great, but I
Well,
just
I don't think so. I think you just find the person that you want to share. I mean, like, I don't want anybody in my space. I haven't found anybody who I would want to share my physical space with.
Same.
yeah.
Like, that's a big difference to me. Like, I've got plenty of guys who
Right.
I like to spend time with on occasion, but like, and that's
But I
not.
don't need you in my house.
No, but
Yeah.
there's not a one of them that I want to live with.
Right.
Like, I'm not sharing my space with you.
Or like-
And that's always,
Yes.
yeah, I think that's the most difficult aspect sometimes. Is
Oh, yeah.
just, it's
But
like,
so, like, if you can
yeah.
find the person that you can share your space with, then that's a special relationship.
Yeah.
But why do you have to do away with all of the other relationships that you have that fulfill other needs? Because as a complex, interesting, smart woman, there are so many parts of you to explore, and
yeah,
different
exactly.
people with different interests that are going to spark a different
Mhm.
part of you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so
And
it makes
it's-
you
and
feel more like a whole person
Yes.
to
just
have, all
those,
these different
yeah,
relationships.
all those different
It's
sources.
and it's not
and
psychologically
resources.
healthy to cut off those things
It's
just
not.
because you're with
It's
one person.
it's not.
Well, I
and
think-
it, and it's not. It's not an insult to this one person. That
Right.
It's not. It's not that you're not enough or that you. But it's just basic. You could never
Mm-hmm.
be enough.
Right.
You just
Because you're only
because
one
you're
person.
you're just one person. You'll never be able to fill all those
You know,
needs and all those and
my ex, he was the bad one that lives in Colorado.
Mhm.
Like he was so controlling over my relationships with other people. Like he sabotaged a couple of my relationships, and
Yeah.
I realize now it was probably rooted in his own insecurities.
Oh yeah,
Like, he
I'm
needed
sure.
to-
I'm sure. Well, that's where it
control
usually
that.
comes from.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's not
insecurity.
feeling secure, being insecure, and thinking that
Well, he also was a sociopath. So there's
Well, that
but-
isolation is a tool
Yeah.
that they can
Yeah.
use
Oh
to
yeah.
control.
Oh yeah. The first husband did. By the time I left him, I had one, maybe two good friends,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it was because he had just gradually eliminated them, or cut me off. He tried to cut me off from family.
Mhm.
It just
You know, I've had friends that even like tried to control who I was friends with outside of them. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah.
No,
That's
this
yeah.
is not healthy.
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
that's not a good relationship.
I'm gonna start texting Felina. Why are you out with her?
Anytime I see you on Facebook with your kids, I'd be like, why didn't Sophia and I get an invite?
That's right.
But so, you did away with baby daddy.
Yes,
And-
yes. We were never married, but I had to divorce him because
Mhm.
we had a kid together.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, seriously? Great.
Well, children are
okay."
property of the state, so they get to decide. about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, how long was it after that before you met your current husband?
I was actually in the process of ending that when I met the current husband, and it was funny because my ex-business partner, she'd been with me for a long time. She had been through the end of the first marriage, and she'd been through the baby daddy, and she told me when that one started going south, she goes, "Me and my husband are picking your next boyfriend." And I went, "What?" She goes, "You don't have a great track record, you don't have to, if you really don't think it's the right pick, you can voice that, but we're picking that." I was like, "Okay, great." And they actually kind of picked him, and he was, there was definitely an attraction, and we met through business. He
Mhm.
sold me my first computer when I finally admitted that computers weren't going away. I was going to have to adapt. And I do not embrace change as easily as I would like to.
Okay.
I've been working on that most of my life, but I was forced into it a lot growing
Yeah,
up. As
me
a kid.
too.
We moved a lot.
Mhm.
I hated it. And I never had a voice in any of the changes that happened.
Mhm.
It was like, this is what's happening. Get over it. You'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was. So I'm not great at it, and my husband would say, "Not great at it. That's an understatement." But I've gotten better. But it's not an easy thing for me.
No, I mean, it's always hard to change.
Well, yeah.
Even when you
Yes.
want to.
Yeah.
When you want to be the best version of yourself that you can be, it's still hard.
Still painful in
You-
some ways.
yeah.
Not always.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
not easy to take those steps, and even if they're very necessary, and it's going to be a good thing in the end. It's not easy to break old habits.
Well, and I think it's nice. I like having you as a friend because, it makes me feel better to like realize that, this is it reminds me that it's an ongoing process throughout your life. Like you're going to always be growing and changing, and like
that's about the only thing we can count on.
Yeah, change is the only
change.
certainty.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yep. And it's
I mean,
change
that's
is
a
so
Buddhist.
uncertain, but
I think that's a
it's
Buddhist
the
quote.
only thing you can really
Yeah.
count on in life. It's always going to be there.
Yeah.
There's no escaping it.
Yeah, change is the only certainty.
Yep.
And so if we're always going to be in flux, like you better find some solid people to be along the ride with you.
Oh yeah.
Who won't like judge you or make you feel bad. They'll just be supportive and be kind and yeah. So I try to pick good people to go along the ride with me, right?
Right.
And
It's very
the
important.
people are such an important part
They are.
of
Yeah.
the life. It's not it's not where you are, but who you're with.
Yeah. I have so many valuable one-on-one relationships with people. I have big groups of friends too, but I really like having an individualized
I've
one-on-one
always been better
relationship.
at the
Yeah.
one-on-one. I mean,
Me
I
too.
don't. I'm better with groups now than I was in I was the wallflower in high school. I was in the corner, whatever thing it was. It was like no. I'm just the big groups. And was never my thing.
I don't always like to. I like to keep some things private, and then I only feel comfortable talking about certain parts of my life with different people.
And that seems normal to me.
It seems
Right.
normal to
I
me
guess
too.
for some people,
They make you
Well, I
think.
think that's healthy boundaries.
Yeah, well, like you get told that you're being secretive
Yeah,
or lying.
yeah,
That's a red
I've gotten that.
flag
I've-
if
yeah.
people don't respect
But yes,
those
I've
boundaries.
gotten that before.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you tell me that? I was like, well, I just have things that
I didn't want to.
I don't
I
want to
didn't want to,
share.
right.
I mean, that it's just, it's my stuff, and
Yeah.
if I choose to share it with you, that means I value you and trust you a lot, and it's okay to feel vulnerable with you, but I'm not going to spill everything.
Right.
I think that's why groups of friends that are tight knit is hard for me, because I don't like notes being compared on me.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know who I am, and if I told one of you one thing and one of you the other, it wasn't because I'm a liar, or I just have a different relationship with each of you. And I didn't know that it was appropriate for you to talk about me
I
together.
didn't know I needed to make a PowerPoint and share it with everybody.
Yeah, so that everybody
All
could be
the
on the same
bulleted
page.
Details to make sure I didn't leave anything out for y'all.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying. But I don't know where I was going with that.
More mimosas.
Yes.
Yes.
Does anybody want a refill?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Sure.
gonna
Refill.
refill.
Thank you.
Yeah. Continue, please.
Okay.
So, he sold you your first computer, huh?
He sold me my first computer. Yes.
So how did you guys actually start seeing each other then from that, if you met in business?
After we were done with the computer transaction, which it was a big deal for me. I mean, I was terrified because technology's not my forte. I'm better now than I was 25 years ago.
Right,
but
and it was still pretty early at
But
that point,
yeah.
so it's unfamiliar.
Yeah,
and-
very unfamiliar, and it was something I grew up with. But after the transaction was complete, my business partner, she's like, well, would you go out with him? And I was like, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, he seems nice. And normal,
Doesn't
and-
seem like a serial
and
killer.
he has a
It'd be great.
job, which was kind of a big thing
That's
at that point.
Always good when they work.
Yes.
Always good when they work.
Yeah. And she actually
Scrubs.
called him to set it up, and it was so cute
Thank you.
because she's talking to him, and she was being very subtle and ambiguous, or trying to. Well, are you single? Are you seeing anybody? And he told me afterwards, he was like, the whole time I was just in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh, please don't be asking for yourself. Please don't be asking for yourself.
Aw.
Please let it be the other. Please. And he didn't tell me that for a while, but I was like, okay, well, I guess that's a good sign. That's a good thing. And we went out one date, and both of us were smokers at the time, but neither one of us smoked for about 2 hours into the date, and then I saw his pack of cigarettes in his car, and I was like, oh, are you a smoker? He's like, yeah. Oh God, I'm dying for a second.
I'm dying. I was just trying to be nice.
I was not going to be the one that, that offended you in that way, but, and then, it actually progressed pretty smoothly and quickly. He had a son from his marriage,
Mm-hmm.
and I was going through the divorce steps, but I hadn't made a lot of progress on that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty much at the same place,
Mhm.
and the kids were close to the same age,
Okay.
and that was a big plus. It was,
Mhm.
Right.
somebody else who's a single parent or is going to be a single parent.
Yeah.
Because people, when you're a parent and trying to date someone that's not, just
They have
it
no
doesn't
idea what
always
you're
go
doing.
well.
Yeah.
They don't understand the.
They don't get that it's a commitment, it's your priority.
Yeah.
And they get
Yeah.
offended
The
because I'm like, no, my
selflessness.
children will always come before you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just how it is.
The selflessness that's involved with being a parent.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I see other
And you
people as
can't-
selfish
you-
who haven't had children.
Well,
I'm
you
like,
can't
like
explain it to
it's hard to-
them. You can't.
Yeah.
It's just until you've experienced that you just can't explain it.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
yeah.
it's a big part of me that friends even that don't have children are. It's
Right.
hard to relate to them on that level.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so single parent.
Yeah. Yeah,
Same
so
age
we
kids and-
we started dating. His son is, I think, about 18 months older than Adam.
Oh,
So
really
they were close.
together.
They were close in age.
Were they friends?
Oh, the first year, we had to pull them off of each other and keep them from killing each other at least once a week.
Oh my
It was
God! How
strange.
old were they?
They were, I think Nick was 7 and Adam was 5.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. And now Adam tells me we're friends, we're brothers. I don't care that we're not related by blood. We'll always be brothers. We
Yeah.
grew up together.
Yeah.
But there were some very intense, stormy moments.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's two boys who were used to being the only
Alone,
one.
right?
Yeah.
And
That's
now
probably a
all of
good
sudden,
experience
here's
for both of them.
Here's another child that
Yeah.
is
You have to learn to share.
part of the mix. So, yeah.
It's not all about you anymore.
Yeah. So it was interesting. It was interesting. And then David, he got a great job offer in Miami Beach, and I was like, that's incredible. I wouldn't think twice. And he was like, I don't know. Things are going so well between us. I don't know if I want to leave. And I'm like, you're nuts if you don't take this. I mean, it was
Right.
was the New World Symphony, working
Oh,
with
wow.
very talented young musicians in this incredible venue.
Like, I don't want to be with you if you'll give this up.
So you were you married yet?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay, so when you were
no.
dating
We'd been
still.
dating for about 9 months.
Okay. Okay.
And things were going really well, but I was like, I wouldn't think twice.
Yeah,
about
you gotta
this
do
is
this.
this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity. I mean, So yeah, I actually went down there with him to interview, and the job was with a friend of his had worked there for years, so we
Mhm.
had a little bit of an in.
Mm-hmm.
And came back, and I was like, "You're crazy if you don't take this." And he's like, "Well, would you move?" And I'm like, I've only known you for 9 months. I think this is going great, but I'm not ready to uproot. And I've got my business, and
Mhm.
I've got my child,
Right.
and my whole support system.
Changed my
So-
whole life here.
Yeah, and and when you have a kid, it's like family and support system
Are
becomes
huge.
really.
Yes.
I mean, it's like I couldn't live with. I don't know how I. And were used to having. We did stuff with the kids. We didn't get them together immediately because we were both like,
Yeah.
let's just wait.
Yep.
4 or 5 months.
Right.
And see
Well,
where
that's
this
smart.
is going.
You don't want to
That's
just
what
jump
I
them
always
right
do.
before
in.
we introduce the
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah. That's what I always do too.
But because we were both, sharing custody with the other parent, we had time where that was just us. Where
Mhm.
we did, and I was like, that goes away if I move to Miami,
Right.
and because I'll be bringing the kid, and that goes away. And I was like, you go check it out. I'm not saying no, but I don't know.
Not right now.
Right.
Yeah. And Miami, I went down there a couple times, and it's a nice place to visit. I was like, no.
Didn't want to live there.
No, it's not my type of weather. I mean, they basically have 2 seasons, hot and wet. And sometimes they overlap a lot,
Right.
so. And it was just, there was a lot of fear there. It was like starting the business over. It's because
Yeah.
I don't have a college degree, so I'm very limited as to
Right.
what my options are. And that's become more of a thing. It wasn't quite as much of a thing 20 years ago, but it's worse now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just like, I don't know.
So he went,
He went, and he stayed for about a year and a half.
and you guys continued to date the whole
We
time?
continued to date.
Mhm.
We continued to date. It was long distance, and I was like, God, I've never done long distance. I don't know if this is going to work out. I mean,
Been
before
there
he left,
doing that.
yeah, before he
Still.
left, he said,
Right.
if it doesn't work out, it's not going to be because of me, because I'm really not interested in
Anyone else?
taking
Or,
anyone else
yeah.
or in even trying to establish something with anyone else. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty positive.
Aw.
And and I just, it was about the only time in my life that I didn't have a man around all the
Mhm.
time. And in a lot of ways I enjoyed it.
Well, yeah.
I wasn't looking for somebody.
Mhm.
I didn't need somebody.
Uh-huh.
This
This is why I like long distance relationships.
Right.
I
This
mean,
is
it
where
was
we're
really,
at right now.
yeah, it was really not a bad thing.
Yeah,
you
this is,
know?
I kind of like the long distance relationships because I can get emotional support with not having to have a person in my space
Yeah,
all the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and that's still, I mean, it's still after 25 years, it's still like, oh my God, what is this? What is all this crap sitting here? Do something with it. It's making me nuts. It's still that sharing the space.
I mean, ideally, I have like a big house and there's like my side
Yeah.
and your
This is
side.
my
We can have
wing.
a
This
duplex
is
and
your
you can live
wing.
on that
And
side.
we'll have a bedroom that we share, but also we can have our own
Your own
bedrooms
bedroom,
too.
which I know people that do that, and I don't really think it's a horrible thing.
Oh, I think
I
it's
mean,
a great idea.
there are sometimes it's just like I just want to be
need
able to
to
spread out in the
sleep.
whole bed.
Right?
Yeah.
I have a king size bed and I love it. And when
Yeah.
I have to share it,
We got a new
oh.
one about a
Like-
year ago, and we just got a queen size, and I'm wishing we'd gone to the king size. It would
Right.
take up the whole room, but
Mine does.
it would be
It takes
so
up
worth
the
it to
entire
have
room.
just that space because we go to like Blue Doors, and it's a king size bed, and it's like I don't even know he's in the bed half the time.
mhm,
So
mhm.
this is kind of nice.
Then you can sleep better.
Yeah.
I have a difficult time sleeping next to people. So,
There are very few people I can sleep next to.
yeah. I can usually get there after being in a relationship with someone for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes me a little
Yeah,
while.
but it takes a while to get comfortable with that.
Yeah. But anyway, so where were we in your timeline?
He was in Miami.
He came
He was
back
in
after
Miami.
a
He came
year.
back up here.
How often did you see each other while he was there and you were here?
I think I went down there twice.
Okay.
We talked a lot on the phone, and I'm a big writer. I wrote a lot of letters, which he found not too long ago.
That's
he was
sweet.
looking.
Kept
them? That's
I
nice.
was like, oh my God!
That's
was that he
really
kept them.
sweet.
He was looking for.
He's a sweetheart.
He is.
I can't. I have to.
He's
I'm a little
nice
biased
guy.
because I know him.
He is a nice guy.
I feel so
And,
comfortable around the both of you. I just adore both of you.
You're so sweet. That's very nice. But no, he was looking for medical records.
Mm.
He needed old medical records,
Uh-huh.
he asked me, and I said, don't ask me because that was before I was in the picture when you had these surgeries. If you saved the stuff, I
Right,
don't know
so you
where
have no
it
idea.
is. I have no clue. Finally after about 3 days, he was like, I think I know where it is. I think it's in a box in the attic. I was like, okay, well that's better clue than I have.
Right.
And he found him, and he pulled out all the stuff, and he had saved all the letters I had written in when he was in Miami.
Aww.
And all he had his last surgery. We had only been dating like a month, and and he had to stay overnight, I think. And he asked me if I'd take care of his cat, and I love animals. I'm a cat person. And I was like, no problem. And he was like, well, I need to give you some special instructions because Buddy's a little different. So he
A
wrote me
little
this-
different.
Yeah. I was like, okay.
A little ominous.
But he wrote me this long note with, do this, do this, do this, and at the very bottom of it was, and if he by chance goes on the attack, that triple antibiotic ointment is right
Oh my god.
So
That's
weird.
Hey, what did you set me up for?
But he's a little different.
Am I taking care of a tiger? What's happening here?
But he had saved all that stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, you saved. I was like, and it just, I was like, I know I saved a lot, but I don't know that I saved every single, post-it and
Right.
just.
I'm not that. I mean, I am really sentimental, but I am. Really,
I don't save every single thing.
I'm really bad
I
about
save
saving. There's probably stuff I wish I would have saved that
Yeah.
I've thrown
Right.
away because I'm so disorganized,
Yeah.
as
Well,
one would say.
I went through a get rid of all this crap I've had for 20 years.
Yeah.
When I moved halfway across country for the third time, I was like, oh, why am I dragging this stuff around?
Yes.
This
Mhm.
is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of it is stuff I really wished I'd held on to because it was stuff from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's like, really? But I was like, I'm not carting this stuff again. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah, my dad has just like this room full of just crap from when I was a kid that he doesn't go through and he won't let me go through.
He
But
doesn't want it to
he
go
won't
anywhere.
let you go
He won't
through
let
it?
me go through it either. He gets like really weird and protective about it.
Aw.
And I'm like,
Don't mess
know
with his hoard.
yeah, it's just one room and that's it. And that's his closet. Is like the past. I don't know.
Aw, it's his vault.
It is. Even like his girlfriend's lived with him for like 10 years and like she just
She's
doesn't
not
go in
allowed.
there. And she doesn't even bug him about it. She's just like, that's his and he'll just
We'll
deal
just
with
shut
it
the door. It's fine.
We'll just deal with it
when he's ready.
to.
Yeah, she just like totally supports him in his insanity. So they work.
He
You
works.
know?
But
Maybe that
that's
is-
funny. He won't let you go through it.
I-
He's
That's-
probably afraid you'll get rid of some of it that
He
he wants to
probably
keep or
is.
something.
He probably
I
is
don't
because
know.
I have.
Who knows?
Yeah, Adam has. I've got a bunch of his stuff that I saved,
Mhm.
and I don't want to be the one to.
I
decide
won't
to
go through it
toss
till he
it.
dies, I'm
Right.
sure. Like
And
that'll be
and I've just told him it's there if you ever want to go through it. And
Mhm.
he has no interest. He's like,
yeah.
"Listen, Mom, it's your deal. If you want to hang on to it forever, it's great."
So now you and David have been married for how long?
22 years. 22 years. He came back from Miami. I had, when he left, he had this little bitty rent house that was owned by the old couple next door, and they had no idea what most people were paying for rent. He was renting it for $150 a month. And he was like, I'm going to be making enough money at this job that I want you to keep paying for that. I will send you the money. I do not want to lose that just in case this doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little tiny cracker box, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, nothing fancy. It didn't even have central heat and air.
Mm-hmm. But it was super cheap.
But it was super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, I was going to move in there.
Mhm.
And the old man, the couple that owned it lived right next door. And my son when he was a kid, he hadn't been around a lot of adults and grown-ups where that you're going to respect me just because I'm older than you. It doesn't
Oh.
matter if you don't know me.
Right.
And he had a little bit of an issue with the owner.
I see.
And the owner came over to, I think there was a store, it was the cover for the septic tank or old storm cellar, and Adam was jumping around on it and banging on it, and came over, you can't do that. And I was like, who are you? What are you telling me? So that ended me living there.
Right.
It was like, nope. So I had moved when he was like, well, if he's not going to let you live there, even if I come back, that's not going to be an option. So I guess just pack all my stuff up and move it out. And I'm like, really? I don't know that I want to pack up all your stuff and move it out. What do you want me to do with it? But he's like, I can't come back to do it. Just put it in storage if you have to. And it was.
Oh my God! And you did that for him.
It was very bizarre. 'Cause
You
it was
loved him,
like-
hun,
well,
'cause that-
it was weird. 'Cause
I'd
he
be
was
like, just
I
keep
don't
paying that
really
$150.
wanna
This is
go
your storage.
through all somebody else's stuff,
Right?
and decide
Little
what's worth
awkward.
moving and what's not.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, my friend John will help you. I'm like, okay, great. And at that time, I think I did put it in storage for a while because I was living way out in the country in North Edmond on an acreage, and I loved living that far out. and I loved the acreage. The house was a piece of crap and it was falling apart. I mean, the roof leaked. It was not comfortable climate-wise to any degree. But it was cheap and it was affordable, and I had a long drive every day. But by the time I got out there after work, no matter if I had been in a bad mood and had a horrible day, after driving for 45 minutes and getting further and further out in the country and further away from civilization, I was always in a good mood when I got home.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay,
That's what you're
I've
supposed
got
to
this
do.
I've got this to come back to, and this is my place. This is my solitude.
Your
this is-
space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that got to the point where my car was wrecked. I had an
Right.
old car and it just could not handle
Right.
those kind of miles on a regular basis. So I found a place in town, and it was bigger, and there was lots of empty space, so I moved his stuff in. He was like, "You can move my stuff in if you want to."
So his stuff moved in way before
his
he
stuff,
did?
His stuff moved in way before he did.
How funny.
And then he showed up, and it was pretty hard to go, "I think you might want to find your own place."
Yeah, since
At
his
least
stuff's
for
already
a
there.
while, because I'm not really sure. I mean, I think this is going great, and I think it's going well, and it could possibly work, but I'm not really sure I'm ready to make that commitment. I in no way saw that coming, though, when he said move my stuff in. And this might make it difficult.
Right. Yeah, he's like
But,
inching in.
yeah. But he came back, and he the job did not turn out to be as wonderful as it was supposed to be.
Hmm.
So he came back and
He came back
he
and
moved in?
He
Mhm.
moved in, and within about 6 months he proposed, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, this seems to be working."
Mm-hmm.
And as my sister said when they met him, I think she finally found a normal one.
Normal one.
Because they'd known the other two, and they
Yeah.
had seen, firsthand how dysfunctional those were, and I was like, well, wouldn't say he's like normal, boring normal.
Yeah,
Right,
but-
norming and boring are not synonymous in this.
Yeah, but that
in
was
this
funny,
case.
and they did not tell me that until
That's
close to
funny.
the wedding. They were like, yeah, well, he's normal compared to.
Relative
And
to
I've
the
met
others.
David. He's not normal,
No, he's not. He's not normal.
but
He-
he's non-normal in a fun way.
Yeah.
Not a scary way.
Not a scary way.
There's a big difference.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there's weird and there's a weird.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Fun, weird, and weird.
Yeah.
I like to think we're all three weird fun ladies.
Yeah.
So,
Not the scary weird.
right, not Norman Bates weird, just weird.
So when did you guys get married? What year?
We got married in '96.
Okay, yeah, you said that. And so now it's been
It'll be 23 years this
okay.
year
Yeah.
in April.
Wow. That's amazing.
It is. I mean,
So you've
I'm
been
just,
together how long?
We've known each other it'll be 26 years in August. We
Okay,
started dating in
26.
August.
Okay.
This is your
26
longest
years.
relationship.
By far.
Mm-hmm.
By far.
26 years is such a long time.
Well, yeah. I mean, it is. It's,
That's amazing, though.
and it's.
I don't even know if I want to be with myself for that long. Why would anyone else want to put up with me for 26 years?
I'm a lot. It's a lot to ask. I know that.
Well, and it's like you said earlier, change is about the only thing
Mhm.
we can count on, and we've been through stuff that I never would have expected. I mean, we have seen all 4 of our parents die,
Mhm.
and had to deal with that, and that's big.
That is
Right.
big.
That's a huge thing,
Yeah.
and how you handle that it's
It
just,
can change. It will change. you.
it will change
I
you. It
changed.
will change
I am
relationships.
not
it
the same
will
person I
change-
was
yeah,
before my mom
yeah.
died. Like, not by a long shot. Yeah.
Yeah, and the kids have grown up, and we both had horrible exes that did unbelievable things, and it's really, and I, it was like, wow. I mean, some of the stuff. My ex he's just kind of crazy and a little bit of a sociopath,
Yeah.
but he's almost harmless in a lot of ways. His ex was,
Wow.
well, and it was basically her family. It
Mhm.
was her family. Her dad is a very powerful man, or was,
Mhm.
in the Oklahoma. Just he had a lot of power and control and made our lives miserable.
Wow.
In as many ways as he could, because he
How
could do
fun.
it. Yeah.
Oh,
Like, isn't it great when
Why are
people
people
like
awful?
interfere in your relationships?
It was. I mean,
why?
it was just, and it was all through the kid,
Right.
which just made it, because it was
Using
like
a
the
kid
kid
as a
was
tool
caught in the
is
middle
so unhealthy to
of
them.
this crap that never should have gone on, and finally, I mean, because she had custody for a long time, and she finally came to her senses when Nick was 13. And I came home one day and David said, "You are not going to believe the conversation I had with her today." And I was like, "Okay, I hope this is good." He was like, "She wants me to have custody." And we never, ever expected that, because that was their control, that was their leverage,
Right.
having custody of Nick and being able to pretty much make the rules and bend the rules when they wanted to. We had to follow the rules, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, wow.
So
And
why,
that was different. That was.
So why did
because,
she decide that?
It was very bizarre. I still don't know all the details. I have my suspicions, but she was very much under her parents' control the whole time, and that was part of what broke them up.
I
She
see.
could never make the break. She and David had moved to Dallas, and were trying to have their own life. And they would, once Nick was born, they wouldn't stay out of it.
Mhm.
And she could never get away from them. And she had a brother who was just as messed up as she was.
So was that her way of getting Nick
That
out
was
of
her way of.
her family's
I
control?
think she saw what she realized how much her parents had screwed up her life, and she realized it was going to happen.
to
Mm.
Adam
So-
too.
so
So it was an
this
act
was
of
the
love.
way to
It
get
happened
him
to
out.
Nick, and she had a daughter after Nick was born, who the father was just absent. It was a horrible mistake, and he never wanted to be a parent, and he pretty much dumped her on her parents when. So I think she finally realized, my life is screwed up, my brother's life is screwed up, and Nick's life's going to be screwed up too if I don't do something to get him away from this.
Mhm.
So, and that was, she did a lot of awful things, but that was the one that was like,
Wow.
wow. And then he came to live with us, and that was interesting, because he was there every other weekend and over the breaks, but
And
it
then
hadn't been a
full-time.
full-time thing.
How was that
Yeah.
for you as a stepmom?
It was interesting because I found myself being harder on him than I was on Adam, my son, and it surprised me.
Why do you think that is?
I was very aware of how he'd grown up and what kind of influence his mother and his grandparents had had on him. And he had he'd already developed some habits that weren't great.
So
that
corrective.
weren't- yeah.
trying
So
to do
you
that.
were trying
So
to
were
help.
you
I was
actually-
trying to help, but at one point, it was just, I'll never forget it. He was in their room. They shared a room for a long time until they both went, "We're not sharing a room anymore."
We can't do
And they
that.
took turns. One of them lived in the living room. We have 2 living spaces, so we use the family room on a regular basis, and the living room is pretty much for, if company comes, or it's one of them, they switched off
That works.
the bedroom and the living room.
Mhm.
But I was cleaning up in their room one day, and Nick was in there, and we would, because they're boys, they like the little action figure toys. And he was in there destroying an action figure. I mean, just he ripped the head off of it, he's ripping the arms off of it, and I watched him, and I was like, "Nick, what are you doing?" And he's like, "This is what Grandma does to my toys whenever I bring stuff home." And I was like, "What?" And he says, "She tells me they're ugly and she doesn't want them in her house, and then she rips the arms off and rips the head off and
Oh
throws
my
them
God, how
Wow.
crazy manipulative.
And I was just, it was just like, that's crazy. That I cannot
Right.
believe you're having to deal with that. And I told him, I said, "You don't have to take any of the toys we get you home. ever again if that's what's happening.
Right, because
That's
you don't
just-
want to be
that's
setting
nuts.
them
How
up.
old was he?
He was probably, this was before we got custody. He was probably 11.
Oh.
And it was at that point in time I just said, this kid just needs to be loved.
Yeah.
He just needs to know what a functional adult
Well,
Right.
And what
is
love really
and
feels
what
like.
love really is, because he
Yeah.
has no.
Right.
This is his freaking grandmother, and apparently his mother either didn't know or wasn't doing anything
Wasn't gonna
about
stop
it.
it. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
So once he got custody, how often did his son visit with his mom? Did he come back?
He visited, I think it was every other weekend
Okay.
for a while, because there was another child, his half sister, and they had grown up pretty much together and were close.
How far apart were they? Do you know? Do you remember?
2 years, 2 or 3 years.
So they were
I
pretty
think.
close in age.
They were
then,
pretty
yeah.
close in age. Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting. I think Nick was about 2 when she was going through the, and I think it's what every mother goes through at the age of 2, where you're just kind of like, I'm so tired of taking care of this other, and they're at that age where they're the terrible 2s, and they're becoming more self-aware, and they're awful a lot of the time.
At what point
She
do they
just-
grow out of that? Look at a 16 and 17-year-old. That's not
Oh
making
no!
hopeful.
It just starts again when when they become teenagers. It happens all over.
Oh my God, I love my 9
I swear.
so much right now.
I
swear
think
that's the universe
7,
punishing you.
about 7 to 10 is probably my favorite age.
Oh my God,
They're
Sophia's
just- they're so
lovely,
sweet.
sweet. I love her so much. I mean, I love her forever, anyways. But she's just like all about mom too
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Like, she loves me.
Yeah, and yeah, between about 7 and 10 or 11, they just you're pretty much their whole world, and they're and they're self-aware enough that you can have an actual conversation
Yes.
about real stuff
Yeah.
with them.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's-
We
it's
talk
amazing.
about religion.
Yeah,
and
it's amazing.
Politics and yeah, it's great. Well, you probably changed. I'm sure. I mean, you changed Nick's life.
I think so. He says that that my dad, his dad, and I were his parents.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, when his mother passed away a few years ago,
Oh.
and it was
I bet that was
very-
hard.
It was.
Having had a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah,
Prior to
that
your
never
Does it make it-
helps.
yeah.
And and
I can relate.
yeah, and Nick was I think he summed it up pretty well. He just, I don't know if he put it on, I think he put it on Facebook. Which, that's what these young kids do. But it was like, Mom, I'm sad you're gone. I'm really going to miss you, but I've been missing you for a long time. Because
Yeah.
she wasn't really
That breaks
present
my
as
heart.
as a parent.
Yeah.
And, so I stepped in, and we did, we did the best we could, and with kids, it's always...
That's all you can do.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all you can
Like,
do.
you
Do
know,
the best you
you
can.
know,
and
they're,
hope
like-
it works.
But when you bear children, it's not like you stop having your own crap that you're going
No,
through.
you don't stop
You know?
having a life. You're not
Yeah,
just...
and they're also like little asshole mirrors of yourself.
yeah.
And so you like start seeing things about yourself
Uh-huh.
in
Oh my
them,
God.
and you're like, oh
Yes.
shit, like
Great.
I should probably work on that if I'm
Yeah.
gonna try and tell her to not do that. She's
Oh,
learning
yeah.
this from me.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh yeah.
I was a yeller when Sophie was really little, but I had been yelled at, and that just seemed normal.
Well, and so much of that,
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that stuff that we experience as a child all goes in the subconscious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And even if
Yeah.
we know it's messed up, it stays in there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it
it's hard
seems
to
when
fight
you
against
have
that.
a
normal
child,
because
yeah.
that's what you grew up with.
Yeah.
That's how you grew up, and it seems normal even though you know
Oh,
it's
yeah.
awful and it's terrible, and the
And you don't have,
propensity to repeat that is
Mhm.
just almost second nature.
especially
Oh
if
yeah.
you don't
You
have.
don't even notice you're
Yeah.
doing it.
And then when you start noticing it, it's like,
That's when the little
Oh my
asshole
God.
mirrors come in,
Right.
And they
Yeah.
start yelling at you, and you're like, "Shit, you're a yeller because I'm a yeller."
Right.
Uh-huh.
I gotta stop yelling
Yeah,
if
you've
you're gonna
learned
stop
that from
yelling.
me.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, my
Yeah.
family's yellers. We
Mhm.
yell. It's not just even when they're mad. Like they yell when they're happy. They yell at about everything. Very loud people. And I never noticed it until my 10-year-old moved in.
Uh-huh.
But she has PTSD. She was 5. She came as a foster
Uh-huh.
placement, and she's got PTSD. And one of her triggers was if anytime you raise your voice. So even I could be saying something great, but just the
because
level,
the
and that's when I started
level of your
realizing
voice.
how often I would yell.
Yeah.
Because she would
Oh,
just
yeah.
and so I had to consciously start working on that, and it is hard.
Oh,
It
really?
is.
I mean-
It's very hard to break those patterns, those
I-
subconscious patterns of behavior.
Mhm.
I mean, I traumatized my daughter. I've screamed at her so much before, and I feel terrible saying that, but I feel like I should own it because I know that I'm not the only parent who's
Yeah.
lost their shit on
Definitely
their child.
not.
Oh yeah.
You know, it happens, but I feel like the important thing is like acknowledging your mistake that you didn't handle it properly. Not
It's huge because you
can't
know my parents
promise-
were pretty good, but they weren't perfect. But they never acknowledged the
My dad
times
never
when
apologized
they-
to me when
yeah.
he would screw up, when
Oh,
he
yeah.
would lose his shit, and I would just be sitting in a corner bawling as he was screaming at me. And I did that to her a couple times, and I realized that I needed to work on it. I'm not perfect, but I rarely yell at her anymore. And, you know, she doesn't yell anymore either. But she still kind of gets worried I'm going to
Mhm.
because I went through a period where I did.
Yeah.
But I always apologize. Even when I get just kind of snippy with her, you know, I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was me, that's not you.
Right.
And my dad never did that. He never apologized
Oh yeah.
to me.
No.
So I'm hoping that she's just learning that
Right.
hey, mom is just a human,
Yeah.
and she's trying her best, and it's hard,
Yeah.
and
But nobody's perfect. and
Yeah.
and being a parent is not. It's not easy.
it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
It can be extremely rewarding, but it's not easy.
And
They don't come with
balancing-
instructions.
Now, and balancing your
Oh,
own
wow.
needs with their
Yes, they
needs
do.
and setting boundaries
Yeah.
with your children and teaching them to set boundaries. You know, I've taught her, I'm like, hey, don't come into the bathroom when I'm using it. Like, let me have a little bit of privacy.
Yeah.
You know, from something very basic like that, you know, teaching boundaries and that it's okay to have your own.
Yes.
Right, that's
yes.
that's the
yes.
big thing is when you teach them those boundaries, then
Yeah.
they can learn to set boundaries. 'Cause
Yeah.
we weren't taught how to set
Oh
boundaries.
no,
I wasn't really.
no, I was
No.
not taught to set boundaries.
We were
I
very
was-
explicitly taught you weren't allowed to have boundaries if they
Yeah.
were, if
Yeah.
the adults say
If
this.
the adult
it's
says this,
just it.
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
And that's a very
yes, and
dangerous
that's
thing
a-
to teach children.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And I don't think the adults that did that saw it as being a big negative or.
Oh no, I
anything
have this
wrong.
conversation with my parents
Yeah.
all the time. They
Yeah.
think I'm crazy. They do. We were at the dinner table when I went down there for Christmas. And we're just sitting there, me, my parents, and my kids kind of wander off. And Dad, out of nowhere, looks at me and says, "So, have you figured out what's wrong with you that make you choose these horrible men?" And my mother is
Wow.
like, yeah, he's across from me, my mom's to my
Dad.
right, and she's just like looking down, like trying not to make eye contact with either one of us.
Oh my god.
And I said, yes, I was raised in this dysfunctional family. I said, but it's okay, I'm going to therapy now. And he's like, you go to therapy? I
Oh
said,
my-
yeah, because somebody's got to fix this.
Oh my god. It's so funny when you call them out and they're so oblivious.
So if I ever go down to see my family for more than a day,
Mhm.
you should all watch my Twitter feed because I post the things they say to
Thank
me.
God.
So it's quite entertaining.
So funny. Yeah, I need to start following you more, paying attention more on that.
Oh, it's funny.
Well, I think we're probably wrapping, time
Yes.
to wrap up, but I wanted to quickly say that you and I had met at the Blue Doors,
Yes.
and usually we try to promote some sort of organization or project or nonprofit, so I would assume you might want to plug the Blue Doors project.
Yes, definitely.
and Yeah,
you
tell
know,
you tell us
last
a little bit
year-
about that. Yeah.
Last year was the kickoff season,
Okay.
and Blue Doors. It's been there for I want to say. Pat and Jane have been running it for about 5 years. It may be longer than
Mhm.
that. I'm horrible at keeping
Yeah,
track of time. It's been at least 5 years. But Jane loves music and she loves local musicians,
Mhm.
and she has always wanted to. You know, it's a great place to go spend a weekend. It's
Yeah, it's
halfway
like kind of
between
a
Tenville and
renovated-
halfway between the Illinois River. It's renovated motor court, 12 adobe cabins.
And
with-
cabins, this is like glamping. This is not.
Yeah, it's not
camping.
like it's not log cabins out in
Yeah,
the middle
these
of
are
nowhere
nice.
without a bathroom or yeah.
They're super
They're
nice, and there's
They're
like
very
this
nice.
amazing
They're very
outdoor
nice.
kitchen. Like it's
Yeah,
such
there's
a
an
great
outdoor
space.
common area with a fully functional kitchen
And the lake,
two
you can walk
fire
around, a little
pits
pond, you
and-
can walk around. It's so
yeah.
beautiful out there.
It's just it's really when I get there, it's like I can relax.
Right.
I can have time to myself if I want. I can go interact with the other guests that are staying out here at the
Mhm.
common area. It's such a peaceful getaway.
That's nice.
But we started doing music this year, just with all local Oklahoma artists, musicians, singer-songwriters.
Saturday nights through the
Saturday
summer,
night,
right?
Saturday night, pretty much. It was pretty much every Saturday night, all summer long, and it was great. Just having that energy out there.
And that's how we met.
That's how we
Our-
met.
our
yeah,
band was
that's,
playing
yeah,
out there
That's how we
one
met. Your
Saturday.
band was playing out there.
And David helped with
first time.
sound, and you guys are
Yeah.
both on the board for the Blue Doors
Yes,
project,
yeah, we're on the board
right?
of directors for the
Mhm.
project. It's a nonprofit, and we want to continue the singer-songwriter thing. We're hoping to, this season to expand a little bit, and always looking for new artists, always welcoming the previous performers back, and just making it more. We need to get the word out about
Right.
the place because it's not very well known, and it is.
And
you
it's
know,
amazing.
it's an amazing.
too.
And
It'd be a
it's
great
2.5
place for-
hours from Oklahoma City, so it's a commitment.
I'm gonna try and
of
talk my
time.
law firm into doing a
But,
retreat
yeah,
here this year.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a great place
it's
for a
such
retreat.
a great getaway.
Especially
where is it
for
actually at
small
again?
offices.
It's in Gore, Oklahoma. It's right at Lake Tenkiller.
Okay, so that's
It's-
not far from
It's
Tulsa.
not. No, it's about an
So
hour
all of
from
Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Is
It's
it
a
really
little.
that
Yeah,
far?
it's
For
a
some
little
reason, I was
bit
thinking
quicker
Tenkiller
from
wasn't
Tulsa.
that far. I think I just drive too much, so I don't think that's. I don't feel like that's very far.
Well, and
But
then-
it's just such a beautiful space, and it's
and I know that
supporting local music is. I mean, there are so many talented
Mhm.
people here
Absolutely.
that you have never heard of. I mean, I don't know. Was I just completely unaware?
No, we
that
weren't
you
that
were-
well known.
but
we
it's,
got
you
more
know-
known more because of playing there and
Uh-huh.
networking with other musicians
Yeah.
and meeting people like you and David who are supporters of the arts
Yeah,
and
and
come up
David's
to
he's
shows
worked
and-
the arts festival, run the water stage down there for 30 years,
Mhm.
every year. And they just called him last week, are you doing it this year? Can we count on you?
Mhm.
He's like, I don't know what else I'd be doing.
So do you have social media accounts or anything that people can follow to keep up with
We
Blue
are-
Doors?
We are in the process of setting up a website and social media
Okay.
stuff specifically for the nonprofit. There is a website for the resort,
Okay.
Blue Doors
And-
at Tenkiller.
Okay.
and there's
And
a link to
so look for
There's
that.
a link. There's
Yeah.
a link. I mean, all the music information is there on that website, but
And-
we really need to get it set up to where it's just the nonprofit and totally focused on that. And
Okay.
that's in the works. We had, it was an interesting year because nobody really realized what, was going to be involved in all of this.
Right.
and
And-
this being the music festival at the end of the year that was a celebration of all the summer singer-songwriters who came out
we
to
had
play.
everybody who had performed out there previously that wanted to come back, that had the time, come out, and it was all day Saturday, and it was going to go into Sunday, and then it was very fluid and.
But it was the first year.
But yeah,
Right.
And-
we learned a lot,
Yeah.
and we had some people who were very willing to participate and who kind of went, this is a lot to do. I don't know how
Right.
much, I don't know if I can commit as much as I feel like I should. And then we've had other people step up that are like, yes, I want to be involved in this. I want to help make this successful. So I'm excited.
nice.
It's just,
Yeah, I'm
it's a
excited
lot of
too.
fun. I've met some wonderful people.
Well, I ended up
mean,
working
you,
on it
I
with
just,
you too.
Felina, she's become such a special person. in my life.
Oh, that's
Thank you,
great.
Victoria.
And it's just,
You
but
too.
we're gonna, the place closes down during the cold winter months because
Right.
they can't afford to keep it open. But probably open back up in April
Okay.
and
Well,
Excellent.
so
get the music
Blue Doors
going
at Tin
and-
Killer.
Yeah.
And I think you can the Blue Doors at Tin Killer on Instagram too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
excellent.
Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, and the
and,
website.
Yeah,
so.
and the
Good.
website.
Go
All
follow
right.
them and stay
Yes.
up to date.
Yes, yes.
All right.
And
Well, thank
yeah.
you, Victoria, for
Oh,
being
thank
here with
you.
us. Chatting
This
with
was
us.
fun. I enjoyed it.
Good.
You can contact the podcast at brokebrokenpodcast@gmail.com. The Broken Podcast can be found on Twitter at Broke Broken Show, on Instagram and Facebook at Broke Broken Podcast.